week on the Linux Action Show. It's our action review of Ubuntu 10.04. Is this the release the world has been waiting for? We discuss. We cover the approaching war against OGG Theora and just what it means for Linux users. Then, is the Microsoft and HTC patent deal a sign of Microsoft's new covert Linux attack strategy? We break it down. Oh, this week on the Linux Action Show. And welcome to the Linux Action Show, Season 11?
Yes, sir.
Man, I don't even remember anymore. This is episode 10 of whatever season this is.
It also marks episode 110.
So it's season 11. Mm-hmm. Holy moly.
Hey there, Brian.
Hey, I'm Brian, you're Chris.
Yeah. And I always like to say at this part, something runs Linux, and in this case, it's a fun one. The iPhone runs Linux. A guy who's pretty famous for doing some iPhone hacking has managed to get Android booting on the first-gen iPhone. It's not available on the 3G or 3GS just yet. But it actually is functional. It works. The guy has video evidence of it. And it actually looks really neat. And the performance looks pretty good, too.
It does look actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
I'm tempted.
If you've got an original iPhone and, you're thinking about upgrading or something like that, why not throw this on there to have a little fun?
Dude, seriously.
Right?
Why not?
Before I jump into my Android pick of the week, I wanted to say, if you guys haven't yet seen the latest episode of Beer is Tasty we did, we don't mention Beer is Tasty too often on the big show, but we did a great episode. After what seems like forever of planning, we got to go on site and do a beer review.
We finally did that.
How much fun was that?
It was great.
That was a lot of fun. And we shot a bunch of footage, so it's going to be coming out over the next few weeks.
I got drunk.
I know.
Man, it was ridiculous.
And then
by the end of the night.
And then we came back and did some more in studio and got more drunk.
I had the most killer headache. Holy moly.
So head over to JupiterBroadcasting.com and watch last week's Beer is Tasty.
That is quality internet entertainment.
And then we're going to try to get another one out this Friday. And we actually, on this next episode that's coming out is when we got on location with the brewmaster and we talked him into letting us take beer right out of one of their tanks.
Dude, yeah.
So a little vial.
No, it wasn't just beer right out of the tank.
It was baby beer.
It was like non-finished beer. It was like a quarter of the way through into becoming beer. Yeah. So it was just brown water.
Yeah, that's coming up. So you guys got to check out these last few episodes. It was fun. I think
I was kind of drunk at that point.
Yeah, we were getting a little tipsy, so it seemed like a good idea.
So I would like to point out at this point in the show that this episode of the Linux Action Show is brought to you by GoDaddy.com, the world's largest domain name registrar, the largest in the world.
Whoa.
Which means they are the largest anywhere, because I believe that we are the only civilization that has advanced far enough to have internet domain name registration.
This would so far seem to be what the evidence would
This is correct.
Yeah.
Until we get radio signals indicating that other planets have the internet.
Right.
If you're ready to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com has got you covered. Domain names as low as $1.99, plus world-class hosting, unlimited disk space, unlimited bandwidth, do-it-yourself website builders, SSL certs, so much more. Plus, as Linux Action Show listener, viewer, etc. Enter promo code Linux, that's LINUX, at checkout and take an additional 10% off of your entire freaking order. Some restrictions may apply. See site for details. Get your PC internet now. GoDaddy.com. Also, don't forget Linux 20, Linux 20 for 20% off of shared hosting plans.
Yep, 20% off. Thank you so much, GoDaddy, for your continued support.
I would like to point out that if your shared hosting plan comes out to a grand total of $1 billion and you type that on, you will save $2 trillion off of your shared hosting.
That's good math, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, at this time, I do like to give an Android pick, and this week it's one of my most productive tools on Android. It's called Astrid. And Astrid is a very, very simple-to-do task manager, and it looks very plain Jane at first.
It looks super plain Jane, Chris.
And that's kind of where its secret powers lie, Brian, because you can do things like you can add tags and stuff like that to Astrid stuff, and tags will work.
No.
I've talked about locale before. Tags will work with that. It also syncs with Remember the Milk, just nice and transparently in the background. So if you're a Remember the Milk user, you can have all of your tasks on your computer and on your phone synced up. Super nice.
Speaking of which, I've never used Remember the Milk. I've never used it, but I log into my Gmail account every day, and it's like, hey, you can't have to-do list because you're not logged in to Remember the Milk. And it constantly is telling me how bad of a person I am for not being logged in to Remember the Milk.
Remember the Milk is nothing super amazing about it. The nice one thing I like about it is it understands natural language. So if I put, we're going to do Linux Action Show next Sunday around 10 a.m., it'll actually make a calendar with a to-do.
That's Sunday,
10 a.m. Sunday, the 2nd of May.
That's pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah,
no, dude, that's like practically artificial intelligence right there.
Practically.
It might as well be a robot that thinks and feels.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Why don't we get into some real intelligence? Let's do the news.
What's new in the news this week?
All right, Brian. The top story on the news docket for this week. I put this here.
News docket.
I slotted this here at the very top because it's a story that I think has really big implications that I'm worried about. Let's cover it. Microsoft and HTC.
And I would like to point out that the first word in the Linux Action Show's new docket is Microsoft.
If you're watching the live stream, we just kind of had an off-the-cuff discussion about how on Linux Action Show we try we've never had an iPad conversation on the show, right?
No.
Because it's just not the proper place for that. This is a Linux Action Show.
Plus, dumb device.
There's that too. And it's like I'm looking at our news docket, and it's dominated by Google, Apple, and Microsoft, all with Linux and open source related stories. I just don't know how to get around it.
And today
this one has big
legitimate stories. These are legitimate stories we've got to cover.
Right.
But they just have the word Apple and Microsoft and Google everywhere.
What do you think about this? This is another Microsoft kind of behind-the-scenes patent deal where they're not really clarifying what the patent technology is.
Yeah.
But they're going out to these companies. Now, supposedly the number's around 600 different companies. And they're saying, hey, you know that Linux you're using? Well, that infringes on some of our intellectual property. So here's what you can do. You can pay us some ungodly sum with probably some sort of percentage on every device sold.
Probably.
Or we'll sue you into the ground, destroy you, or maybe just absorb you into Microsoft, which would be scarier than all those other things.
For sure. Way scarier.
And so they went to HTC, who makes Windows mobile phones as well. And we don't really know if this was a friendly deal or if this was here's what we're going to do. Why don't you give us a little money? And everything will be smooth. You know, that kind of thing.
So the Microsoft was being the godfather.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people say, well, maybe Microsoft and HTC are teaming up to go against Apple. But the more and more information that comes out, it actually looks like this was specifically addressing concerns around HTC's implementation of Android, which on the backside is Linux. Now, Apple and Microsoft are going after companies like HTC because they can't really go up against Google. Google has these huge patent libraries, and HTC pretty much has nothing. They're kind of a new company.
Yeah.
And it's this thing that Microsoft's
just down
doing.
the road, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This really scares the crap out of me because Microsoft has these intellectual property things that we don't. Maybe it's VFAT, maybe it's all these different things that we don't have any idea because they're not coming out and telling us what it is. And then people build products around Linux, and then they get Microsoft knocking on their door as soon as they start making some sales.
Now, what really weirds me out is why none of these companies have come out and said specifically,
what the
here's
patent
the patents, and it's totally cool. Because if it's on the level...
It's got to be all part of the agreement. Microsoft's got to come to them and say, here's what we think.
You got to keep quiet.
And you keep quiet or else we sue you.
Now here's another thought.
Which just means they're...
Did they say in there that it's like that they gave money to Microsoft? Or is it just an agreement?
No. There was... See, this is the problem, is we don't know the number, but the number is supposedly a huge sum.
So a lot of money.
A huge sum of money is what is being kicked around.
See, I would kind of almost get it. Like if Microsoft came to them and said, you know what, we've got all these patents, just do business with us too, and like we won't sue you into the ground. Then it's still mean and it's still evil.
It's a weird thing.
But it's not as bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I make a Windows 7 phone and we promise not to sue you for the other phones you make. It's still a total dick way to go.
Right.
But it's not as bad as saying give me $1 million or I take away your company.
They're probably already on board to make a Windows 7 phone.
They are. They're going to make like more Windows 7 phones than anybody. HTC is like the main Windows 7 phone partner.
This whole
Microsoft's
thing is scary to me.
Whole launch around their new phone platform is hinging on the ability of HTC to build great phones.
And HTC is making some of the nicest phones in the market. I mean, the new Droid Incredible looks amazing.
Yep.
From a hardware design.
Plus, the Google Nexus 1 is an HTC phone.
Yes.
I mean, the greatest phones out there right now are HTC built.
So I believe the big problem here is Microsoft's not coming out, not saying what is being infringed upon. So companies who are building products around Linux can't avoid those intellectual property. And so then all you're doing is you're just rolling the dice when you build something on Linux because you're saying now Microsoft might come knocking on my door.
And
I
want to be able to. I mean, I spent a lot of years at Microsoft. I want, and in a lot of ways, I actually kind of like the company. I know.
They just keep screwing up.
But yeah,
it's because they do a lot of cool things at the same time. Like they've just joined up with the Joomla open source board, and they're going to contribute a bunch of money to Joomla and contribute code to Joomla under the GPL.
Awesome.
That is awesome. It's
they
weird.
do,
Microsoft's so big; they have like evil parts and good parts.
Exactly.
And it's hard to write the whole company off. But
it is.
But at the end of the day, you have to look at this kind of stuff where we figure these kind of legal actions are being made by the leadership of the company. The cool stuff you're talking about is coming from the engineers. But the people driving the ship are making the bad decisions at the end. The ones that are really bad.
I didn't even know that that's true. So the way Microsoft is laid out is they have giant business groups, and each business group,
some of them work autonomously, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's Xbox over here, and like the Macintosh specific divisions
and they even
over
compete
here.
with each other sometimes.
They totally do, and so they don't often even talk to each other or know what the heck each other is doing.
Right.
So,
a good example.
They've done some great things, but holy crap, what are they doing here? Like, they just need to come out and be clear. We've railed on them before about this. They just need to be open and transparent about what it is they're doing and their goals, and we might even agree with them if we knew what they were doing.
It's almost immoral to have these secret. It's like a minefield. It's like, here's this minefield, and I'm a vendor who wants to make something on Linux. I'm going to walk out into this field and hope I don't step on the Microsoft mine. I don't have any idea where they are.
I have no idea. Like as far as it could be something as simple as we can't use the word fat file system. It could be something really simple for all we know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we don't. Or it could be you can't have a computer that uses a mouse. We really have no idea.
Yeah. All right. Well, the next story on the news docket for this week. A brand new version of VirtualBox, version 3.2.0 is out.
Yes.
Now, I don't often talk about betas, but I seem to talk more and more about the VirtualBox betas. First of all, the feature list for a beta for the 3.2.0.
Now, this is the beta, yeah.
Yeah.
This is beta 1.
But the feature list is staggering.
Huge, dude. Huge.
First of all, one of the things that I need to look more into is VirtualBox uses the RDP protocol, which is the Microsoft Remote Desktop Protocol.
Yep.
But now you can use it to remote desktop into Linux machines because you get to the console of a VirtualBox guest.
It is so
And they're talking about adding hardware acceleration to these remote desktop connections.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that'd be great.
I know, right? New hypervisor features let dynamic memory be quickly assigned and then taken away from a virtual machine when it's not being used. So if you have a host system with limited memory, maybe like a netbook where you've only got 2 gigs of RAM. Before, VirtualBox would sometimes overgenerously allocate memory to a guest just in case it needed it. Now it can allocate and take away much, much faster on the fly.
It does a much better job of that. Yeah. I've been running VirtualBox on one of my machines right now, and it's so much better at that.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
You know how tablets are getting big, right? VirtualBox is going to be right on the cuff of that. VirtualBox is now going to be adding virtual keyboard support, which is going to be even bundled in with the guest edition. So when you have a virtual guest and you install the guest editions for all the drivers and stuff, if you have a tablet with a virtual keyboard, it's now going to be supported inside the guest. Only virtualization platform to do that.
That's pretty slick.
So,
dude,
virtualization on a tablet would be wicked cool. Also, they've just added Mac OS guest support, but you have to be running on
a Mac hardware. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how hackable that's going to be. We'll see about that. This also is going to
That's a good stepping stone, though. I mean, making sure that the virtualization companies support the ability to virtualize a Mac, it's a start. I mean, Apple's never going to open up their EULA and allow us to virtualize it, so
Two big changes. Two really big changes.
I've written them off.
The first big change is this. I don't even know what this means. I'm just going to read it from the feature list. Prepare your mind for this, Brian.
All right, I'm prepared.
A new guest edition feature. Once you have a guest installed with the supported editions, you now have support for executing the guest virtual machines applications from the host system. I don't know if that means like you have the application shortcuts on your host system and you can trigger them inside the guest.
Wait,
but you
what?
combine that with there's more and more ways to run VirtualBox in windowless mode where you can kind of have more integrated virtual windows that you strip away the whole virtual desk. Anyways, maybe we'll cover that in future road. And then the other
guys in the chat room are saying, yeah, it's a symbolic link.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Then another feature that's not really a feature, but it's a big change.
Thanks, live stream chat room, for making sure this show is factually correct.
Outsourced brain for the win. They're changing the name now to also Oracle VM VirtualBox.
Of course they are.
Oracle, not Sun anymore.
Yeah, man, I tell you, it's been kind of rough loading up like the latest version of OpenOffice and seeing the Oracle
or you go to like get Java, you go to download Java.
And here's the thing.
It seems really fast. Like a lot of times mergers happen, it takes a long time for the branding.
Yeah.
But they're just all over the branding. Like,
dude, Oracle's like, let's put that Oracle image in everything. And
yeah.
I don't like it.
I don't either.
I've never been a big Oracle fan.
I haven't either.
Now, I mean, Oracle makes a good database server. It is, like Oracle 9.9, everything else. It's nice. It has its place. It really does. It's just that I have never been a big Oracle fan.
Right.
And I don't know. It kind of bothers me a little bit. You know, it was like with Sun. Sun was like coming around more and more. You know what I mean? It was like
I totally know what you mean.
Sun took Java,
like
and
they had a moment, and then you're like, Sun's cool. Oh, Sun's bad. But then Sun was definitely trending towards cool for like the last couple of years.
Yeah, they're like, let's open source the Java virtual machine, and they were just really like, let's get it really rocking. And they had OpenOffice out there from originally being Star Office, and I was like, you know what? Sun's being cool, and Oracle. The only thing they ever did was they took a version of, what was it, Red Hat, and rebranded it. What did they rebrand it?
Untrusted? Trusted Linux.
Trusted Linux. Untrusted, yeah. They called it Trusted Linux.
Freudian there,
All it was just a rebranded Linux distro.
Yep.
And everyone just kind of stopped and said, okay, well, that's neat, I guess.
Right.
Why would we do that? And so that was all of our Linux world's exposure to Oracle.
Yeah.
Now they own our left hand now.
Seems like it.
It's a little,
or it seems like they've got their hands in a bunch of pots that they weren't in before, and it's really uncomfortable because they weren't just kind of like invited in, right? They didn't, because the open source world is a community, but that's almost a facade these days. It really is done commercially. All of the majority of the kernel development, a lot of the big name projects on Linux are sponsored commercially now. And
from the chat room, the difference between Oracle and Sun, Oracle can generate a profit. So
there is
all right,
that.
so I kind of understand there, yeah.
Yeah, and Oracle is kind of uniquely positioned, I suppose, for really high-end cloud computing infrastructure.
And you know what? I don't mean to harsh on them. Maybe they'll do awesome.
Yeah.
Because, they didn't acquire Sun and immediately lay off 100% of all staff. So a lot of those same people are going to be around working on the same projects,
they did
like
lay off
VirtualBox.
a few of their open source advocates.
I know, but some people are still there. So I have hope, but I'm still a little nervous about it.
Yep.
And I'm weirded out when I open up OpenOffice.
Sure.
And it's like, blam, Oracle.
I am too. Yeah.
It's
jarring.
It's like OpenOffice is punching me in the face every time I load it up.
All right. So the next story on the news docket. Now, this affects Linux. It's Steve Jobs. He has been answering.
Hold on. I think I just swallowed a knife.
Because of the magical productivity of his iPad, he's been answering emails, and the magical productivity of not having liver cancer. He has been answering a lot of emails lately, and somebody emailed him regarding OGG Theora H.264, and some of you might have saw he put out some letter about how Flash is bad, which I don't totally disagree with. And he just kind of casually mentioned to one of his emailers that a patent pool is being put together to go against OGG Theora. Here we go. He says all video codecs are covered by patents.
Sure.
A patent pool is being assembled to go after Theora and other open source codecs now. Unfortunately, just because something is open source doesn't mean or guarantee that it doesn't infringe on other patents. An open standard is different from being royalty free or open source. And for my iPad. So,
oh man,
this is really the first thing. Now, you and I have covered rumors and suggestions over the last couple of years that maybe OGG Theora might have some people that claim the VP3 codec that it's based on has patent issues around it. It's really about VP3, I believe.
And here's the thing: is it does have some murky ground in terms of patents. That's been pretty well established.
Yeah, but H.264 has...
But H.264 is way more.
It has clear patent issues.
Yeah, it's very, very clear. The OGG stuff is just, it seems murky and debatable at this point.
While we talk about this, let's take a look at this really blew me away. And this is being talked a lot about online, is if you look at the video trends since Q2 of 2009 to Q1 of 2010.
I don't...
early 2009 to now 2010, H.264 is skyrocketing. Flash.
Now, according to encoding.com. Right. Now, this is just one website.
Right. Yeah.
And what they've been doing.
Right. OGG Theora also is on the rise, pretty significantly, really, considering.
Dude, yeah, from quarter 4 of last year to quarter 10 of this year, OGG Theora. What's that bottom blue line? That's the old Flash video, right? That's the old FLV.
Yes. So the one that's on a steady, the one that's on dramatic,
the one that everyone's kind of getting rid of to jump to new Flash and H.264.
The new Flash is the green line here if you're watching the video version, and it's on a significant decline. The only one that's on an uprise.
Here's the thing: I've got to call shenanigans on all of this, simply because the majority of the video out there is coming from Hulu and YouTube and Ustream and whatnot, and most of that is Flash.
These numbers are not based on views; these are based just on the
The encodings that this company is doing. I'm going to say that these numbers are bogus.
Well, here's why they're not bogus, I believe, is because almost 100% across the board, Flash video is HD64 wrapped in an FLV wrapper.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, almost nobody's using VP6 anymore.
That's true.
So, like, even our videos are HD64 in a Flash player.
Right.
So if you go to our site, theoretically, this is something we've made a change in the last few weeks. If you go to our site without Flash, you should get an HTML5 video that is H.264. The reason we haven't done OGG Theora is the majority of the content distribution networks
don't support it.
AKA all of them don't support it.
And most browsers don't support it.
And Firefox and Chrome do, but only the later versions.
And most people aren't using.
And I have to put up a bigger file for OGG Theora, which costs me more.
Right.
So
like, I really want to get behind OGG as a standard.
Yeah, I just don't love it.
No, it
There's
causes
Dryek
problems
or whatever
for
it's
us.
called. There's X264, which is probably bad.
Yeah.
I feel though like OGG Theora isn't the solution because it's just not good enough. Now Google has recently announced that they're going to open source the VP8 codec. I don't know anything about VP8.
Yeah, but it's not. As far as I know, I mean,
it's not ready.
It's not ready.
And
I mean,
see, the issue
we can't just
where
ship all our video in VP8
out
and call
now,
it good.
which people don't even realize where H.264 is out. Is it has reached the point now where the dedicated processor to decode H.264 video is pennies. So every device, it is the H.264 dedicated decoding is so common now that almost nearly every device that ships with a Broadcom system chip either has it and it's just usually turned off if they don't want it.
Right.
They almost just have to have it and they just turn it off.
You might as well.
So and then you look at like every set-top box supports H.264 in the market now. iPhones, iPods, Arcos devices. It's so hard to find OGG Theora support where H.264 is already out there. Now the issue is that the
I say we bag it. Everything go back to Xvid.
There you go. So it's something we're going to continue to follow.
That's got patents on it too.
I mean, you look at
So, I mean, what
do you do?
What do you do? What I really hate about
as consumers,
this,
we're just stuck in while we watch these massive
what
companies.
What I really hate about this, honestly, I don't care what codec everything's using. I just want to get good quality video, good quality audio. I don't want it to bog my system down, and I want to be able to deliver it easily to as many people as I can. But on the flip side, I really don't want some jerkwad coming around running some big mega billion-dollar company saying, I hate that you're delivering good video and audio to people using someone else's format.
And because you and I are actually releasing video, we could technically be held liable for royalty charges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that really bothers me.
It scares me.
It's just ridiculous that people are out there actually considering, even thinking about, hey, you know what? I'm going to release content and I'm going to hitch my wagon to the Apple truck. You know what I mean?
Well, H.264 isn't necessarily Apple.
No, but at this point,
it's a lot of Sony and Microsoft.
But at this point, but Apple owns the popular container format.
Yeah.
For it.
Yeah.
It's based like the
MOV. But I don't know.
But it's like, well,
I see what you're saying.
On, you know what I mean? It's like anything that Apple comes out and says this is the way of the future. Honestly, at this point,
if you're releasing your video and you require QuickTime, you're a fool anyway.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's just a mistake.
At this point, I'm almost inclined to say, you know what? Whatever Apple says, I'm going the other direction.
Well, now, what do you think about?
Because it scares me when they come out and they start not allowing people to even develop on their platforms.
Yeah.
They start talking about possibly putting together patent portfolios to sue people who are all they're trying to do. Like, come on.
I don't think it's Apple that's going to go after it. I think it's a pool of Microsoft, Sony, a lot of the other companies that are involved.
Do you think they'll band together and take on OGG?
Have you noticed too that Microsoft has said that IE9 is going to ship with H.264 support.
Yeah,
Windows 7 now ships with not only does Windows 7 ship with H.264 support out of the box, but it actually ships with hardware encoding and decoding out of the box.
Yeah.
Microsoft's really gotten behind it. Big, which I mean, when they have
funny because they own so many video patents.
Right? They have VC. Let's stop talking about this. Let's move on. It's an interesting thing, and it affects us personally because we do distribute video, and I'd really love to hear what people out there, what you think. Do you care? Are you we put these episodes out in OGG Theora and they get like 30 downloads, which is crazy.
It is nuts, isn't it?
Yeah. All right.
Nuts.
The next story on the news docket for this week. I'm so excited about the way this is going. It started as small rumors and has continued to build. more proof that Steam, the rather awesome game distribution system, is being released for Linux, along with the Source engine, which is really the big component in this.
Here we go.
Including some early screenshots people are uncovering. And now, you know, Brian, Steam is the game distribution platform. Now, Source is like the 3D engine, right?
That right there, though, is a Windows 7 screenshot.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm not saying this is a screenshot.
Oh, okay.
I don't have that article handy with me.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Yeah.
That's a screenshot of a Telnet terminal.
Yeah, you can go into it. And, you can find if you go into it. Now, Source is a big deal because the way
huge deal.
Valve has their Source engine set up is when they're sitting there coding away at a game, they hit submit and they send it to their building farm, and it builds a Mac version and it builds a Windows version, and then theoretically down the road it's going to build a Linux version and then distribute it via Steam.
Now that doesn't mean that it's a kind of a write once run anywhere game development platform, but what it does mean is it helps because the framework is available across multiple platforms, and it makes their job a little easier.
Yeah.
So if they come out with a version of Steam of the actual game store for Linux, well, that means that we're likely to see at least some of the games that are available for Linux available on Steam.
Big title Source engine ones?
Maybe the Valve produced ones.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, Steam has a lot of games on it.
Oh,
I mean, that are not
made by
Valve.
Yeah.
Steam is just really rockin' amazing. Here's the thing that's great about Steam. It's like the Apple App Store for the iPhone for desktop games. And it's way better.
Well, because once you buy,
it's
you
good
can
on
forever
all,
download.
And it's good on all your machines.
It's wrapped in DRM though, and I don't like that. But I guess actually there's a pretty
to a certain extent. So the great thing is, so you install it and you have an account.
I wonder how they do the DRM
you authorize multiple machines,
right?
And then you can literally go in and say, you know what, I already downloaded on my machines. I installed a brand new machine.
Yeah.
Log in with that account. Boom, download all of my games again.
And I've never had
latest
a problem with
version.
it. Yeah.
It's awesome. It works very well. And the fact that this could come to Linux.
Yeah. And in fact, even when looking into the Windows binary, they checked like Steam services.exe and some of the DLLs, and they found references to current Linux version and Linux client config and stuff like that that's in the Linux code base or in the Windows code base. And then in the Source engine itself, they found other common strings that would be for Linux, things like detect OS. Is it Win32? Is OS Linux? If Linux do this, that kind of stuff. So that they're obviously
there
building
is
the
development going on now. Here's the big question that I've been trying to figure out. So if we get a Steam Linux client, does that mean that the games that we purchase off of it will be tailored to run under Wine with custom Wine?
Oh, interesting.
Or are we going to actually get native versions of the Linux clients?
Well, you know, on the Mac side, they're doing native. They're doing native. Their Mac apps are native. And here's what's awesome. If you've bought the Windows version, I think you can. Oh, I might be wrong on that.
I don't know about that.
I think you get the Mac version. I do know your save points. They're gonna come up with a way for your
to move the save points between the machines.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so great. Oh man.
So we're I don't know.
Oh man.
The potential, because one of the big things about Linux desktop, you know, people ask me, yo, think about buying Linux, and whenever I know they're a big gamer, I always have to say, all right, just so you know, when you game, you're probably going to be looking at dual booting or trying Wine, and when I tell them Wine, their eyes just glaze over. They don't want to try that.
No, they don't. But I mean, if it was transparent and you never knew that it was running Wine.
Adam Fusion in the live chat room says that if you right now, if you buy the Windows version, you're going to get the Mac version. So ergo, you might also get the Linux version when they ship with that. That'd be really cool, and it could bring Linux gaming up a whole nother notch. And it's an awesome point to do it because the video drivers for Linux are really getting to a good point. So now is the time to do that.
They're at a great point. They're at a great point. I mean, there's some issues right now on the NVIDIA side of things, but we'll get over that.
Yeah.
We'll plow through that. Is all I'm saying, guys.
I think it's time for an Ubuntu review, Brian.
Should we?
All right, Brian.
It might kind of blow everyone's brains away.
Get your brain buckles ready, everybody, because that's all the news for this week. About every time, say 6 months, the Linux Action Show has themselves a whole mess of Linux distribution reviews, and this episode's no different. It's time for our Ubuntu 10.04 review.
Yep.
Yes,
now, I just want to say this straight up front. Fedora guys, OpenSUSE guys, don't worry.
We're coming to your neighborhood.
We got you covered. I'm going to, right after this show, I'm going to go home, wipe out 2 of my machines that are running Ubuntu. Boom, Fedora 13 goes on. So don't you worry. Don't you worry. We got love coming. But for now, it's Ubuntu time.
If you were at Linux Fest, you know I'm chomping at the bit to get me my hands on the new OpenSUSE. But 10.04, and not only is it 10.04, but it's a long-term support, which means you get years of patches and fixes.
3 years. 3 years on the desktop, 5 years on the server of support. So that's a big deal.
Good. Yeah.
That's a big deal. That's more than you get from most things. So
now, these distros are getting to a point now where it's like, where do you start? You know what I mean? Because
they're huge.
You used to start with a review. You used to start at the installation. Was the installation easy? Did I understand how to click on the things? That's pretty much all been common.
Right.
Now. They all are kind of going the route of a live CD or with an alternate
with a nice
offline.
little graphical installer.
And
they all work pretty good.
Well, much improved this time around.
Oh, yeah.
This is the best iteration of the Ubuntu installer. And that almost would put my entire review in complete context right there. I could almost just say this is a much better version of Ubuntu, but I have a few caveats. Well, why don't we jump into some of the areas that we want to talk about?
Let's go in. I've got a couple of areas I specifically want to cover.
All right. Should we just get out of the way look and feel? Because I know some people hate the look and feel discussion.
I know. Let's just get out of the way and let's do it quick.
And then we'll talk about other stuff. All right. So look and feel.
It's not brown anymore. It's purple and like gray.
It's much improved. I'm not in love with some of the colors of the icons. They kind of give me.
You know what bothers me a little bit?
What's that, Brian?
So I'm gonna say this straight up. I love the new look and feel.
All right.
I straight up love it. Yeah. I have a giant Jack Bauer-sized man crush on the new look and feel of Ubuntu, except the icons.
Yeah,
if you look
it's
at the
hugely
icons,
improved.
What they did, this is the only problem I've really got with it. They went through and they didn't finish replacing the icons.
It feels like it.
No, they really didn't. If you look over at my blog at lunduke.com, it's like the second picture down. There's a screenshot of the Places menu up and rolling there. Some of the icons have the new purplish theme. Others are still using the old orange Ubuntu colors.
Yep.
They didn't finish the icons. It's not that they're bad looking. It's that they're contrasting styles. And the colors look terrible together.
It's jarring.
It's the only problem I have in the look and feel of what is otherwise a very slick looking look and feel.
You could change those icons easy enough. We know that. You guys don't have to write us and tell us that. We know.
I know that. It's just, this is the default set. It looks pretty nice. They did a good job of integrating it, except a lot of those folder icons and whatnot are still.
Why don't we talk about integration? Because I think this is probably where Ubuntu 10.04 is the strongest across the board. From everything from the integration level of Ubuntu 1 has really come up to the next level.
Dude,
a lot closer to where I want it to be. And in some surprising ways I didn't expect. Ubuntu 1 is also tied in with the Ubuntu 1 music store, so your music automatically syncs between all your machines. I never expected that, but it's a great idea because I've been toying with the idea of just doing my own solution through Dropbox.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. So I was kind of torn on it. When they first announced that would be the case, I was like, well, do I really want...
Do you want to eat up the Ubuntu 1 storage? You only get 2 gigs.
And I only get 2 gigs free. I have to pay $10 a month to get the full 50 gigs. If I'm buying music, do I want it auto-stored in that music store? And now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of do.
Yeah, you do. And you don't buy a ton of music.
I don't buy a ton of music. Yeah, but I mean, I buy a fair bit. But still... I actually do want that. And currently I pay for Dropbox. So I'm already paying $10-ish a month.
Which is
for
how much
that basic service.
To go Ubuntu 1 to go to 50 gigs is $10 a month.
So that's not too bad. Now, while we're on the topic of the Ubuntu 1 side of things, I want to talk about this a little bit. So Ubuntu 1 added in, syncing with, like you said, syncing with your contacts, and syncing with like your browser bookmarks and everything else.
Tomboy notes.
Your Tomboy notes, all of that stuff. Plus, what they did is there's now Ubuntu 1 mobile syncing. So if you pay that $10 a month, you get the premier whatever version of Ubuntu 1. It syncs with your iPhone and your Android phone.
Mm-hmm. Syncs the contacts and whatnot.
It syncs the contacts. Yeah. And the notes, I believe, as well.
Oh.
I think on the Android side. I don't remember.
That'd be awesome.
I haven't tried this part yet, but I've heard from a few people. So it looks very, very cool.
Yeah.
And I really, really dig
Are you tempted? Are you tempted?
I'm super tempted.
Yeah, really?
I've been a loyal Dropbox guy for a while now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've touted Dropbox. I've gotten lots of people to sign up for Dropbox. I love Dropbox. Great service.
Right.
But I'm looking at this. I'm like, I'm running Ubuntu as my primary desktop. And I run it on my netbook.
And it has some features that make it really nice.
So well integrated now. I'm like, well, crap. I guess this is kind of a good deal for me.
And along the lines of integration, let's talk about something that I feel like the Fedora folks have talked about for a really long time, and that's the social desktop.
Yeah.
And I always was like,
well, it was kind of, it's been on the GNOME side of things. So the general,
but I felt like it was being pushed a lot by Fedora.
It was
they had their own social network for a while. They were trying to push.
Yeah. What was that called?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
But do you
the chat room? Yeah, that thing.
Yeah. Do you agree though that They just nailed it.
Oh, dude.
The meme menu.
Out of the freaking park.
How about the meme menu?
Perfect. It's freaking perfect. So what they did, if you haven't tried this out yet, freaking try this. This is great. So I have like every social network on the planet I have an account for because, well, you know, I started out having a little bit on Facebook or Twitter, but then people moved over to Identica and whatnot, and they're like, oh, Brian, I need your post on Identica too. All this stuff. We try and use services like Ping FM to broadcast out to multiple services, but then that's only me pushing information out. I don't get to see all the responses, and I got to log into all these websites.
That's the problem.
What they've done with it is you set up all your accounts for Identica and Twitter and Facebook and FriendFeed and everything else, and Dig even. And from one menu, I can post my feeds, send out my links. I even get the system-wide updates from every service.
And it also integrates in with your instant messenger.
Exactly.
So you can set your status in your IM.
Status in IM.
One menu.
Plus, then there's Gwibber, which ties directly into the me menu. And Gwibber is basically the full timeline stream. You've got the screenshot up right there.
Gwibber also is a Facebook client as well.
Yep. It does all of them. It does the Identica.
Does it?
Everything basically you set up in there through your me menu.
Twitter and Facebook.
It works great for FriendFeed and Identica and whatnot.
Really good client.
It's a great client.
Fast too.
And all of it is integrated together. So you set up your accounts once, and it's available in all of these applications. The
notification systems is very well done.
You set up your Flickr account in this, and it's immediately available in FSpot. So if you go into FSpot, it already knows about your Flickr account. It can right away publish it.
It's so well integrated. And
it's mind-blowing.
Also, the me menu it's a different icon, but it also will monitor your mail accounts and alert you to new email, multiple mail accounts. It's very cool.
It's incredible.
And I did have it freak out on me once. I changed my Twitter password throughout my review.
Oh, did you?
Gwibber couldn't connect to Twitter, and the background daemon just started taking like 100% CPU. He went crazy. So I had to go kill that.
Okay, so there's at least one bug that we know.
I had to go kill that, but other than that, it was pretty good.
Yeah, I've been rocking out. I'm so pleased with this because I've tried a lot of different little social networking clients like Twirl and
almost always built on
TweetDeck
Air. They're almost always built on Air.
And they are decent. There are some good ones.
They're not integrated though.
But they're not
They
integrated.
can't integrate at this level because this is being done it's the organization and coordination.
This is part of the OS.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So cool.
I'm absolutely thrilled. And here's the really cool thing from my point of view.
All right.
No one else does this. No one.
Not yet.
Macs don't do it.
Right.
Windows doesn't do this.
Right.
Hell, even installing a bunch of third-party software, it's hard to make a Windows or a Mac do this.
Right. You get the closest on the Mac with like Growl. But it's still not at this level of integration.
Growl for the notifications, and you'll need a bunch of different clients.
The author has to write that support.
And you have to have a bunch of different clients for all the different social networking to integrate in with Growl. And then you still have the problem of, well, then your social networking client doesn't automatically send all the information to your iPhoto, whatever instance.
It's not like really
it doesn't have it.
With the me menu, I can go available. One click available, one click unavailable.
Basically, so right now, that is like the number one thing like a lot of people use their computers for is to get online, utilize social networkings and communication.
If you've got a family member, an aunt, uncle, mom, dad, grandma, who just uses the heck out of Facebook. I've got an aunt-in-law, I guess you might call it, a great aunt-in-law whose computer just died.
Yeah.
And she just only uses it for email and Facebook and like a Google search. There's no reason I'm not going to give her Ubuntu.
No, this is the right platform for that.
I know
it's
we're jumping around a bit.
It's fast.
Before we move on, I want to kind of stay in the email chat.
Yeah, let's
genre.
talk about that a little bit.
So this isn't really anything the canonical Ubuntu folks could have done. I'm still having a big problem with evolution.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, my work uses Exchange, and I had to get Outlook working under Wine. Because I just could not get Evolution to connect to our Exchange server. I've got all of the prerequisite patches, Service Pack 1 for Exchange 2007. Actually, I've got Service Pack 2. I've got everything I need for Evolution to connect.
Yep.
It's just not connecting.
Really?
It's either because of the way we have our domain structure or whatever it is. So once you're forced to use something other than Evolution, there's a huge part of the integration piece that's missing.
Yeah, no, see, I just haven't had to undergo that because I don't connect to any Exchange service currently.
Yeah,
so
that's a much nicer
so
deal.
Evolution, great mail client for me, but again, I can't even speak to the Exchange support. Now, at one point, like 2 years ago, I was using it for that, and it kind of worked with some problems.
Yeah, that's pretty much my experience.
That's where I was at with it. So if you do have to use Exchange, I mean, come on, I mean, a lot of you do. You're going to end up probably running Outlook and Wine or something like that. But I think most of us, most consumers aren't going to have that issue.
What do you think of the software store?
And that's not bad. Oh, dude, you want to talk about the
let's talk about
the
that.
Ubuntu Software Center.
We were not the biggest. We were kind of like, man, not enough.
Dude,
nah,
excited.
More.
I am excited about it.
Yeah,
dude, how much did you use it?
Oh, just a little bit. Actually, ironically, the first time I went to use it, I had a bit of a fail. I uninstalled Firefox from my system.
Yeah.
And then I thought, you know what? Actually, I need Firefox for something. Went back to the Ubuntu Software Center thinking I could install Firefox from the web browser section, but Firefox isn't listed. Kind of funny, I thought. All the other weird browsers are.
Oh, is it not?
But Firefox isn't in there.
So you can't get rid of it that way?
At least at the time.
Yeah, so I yanked out Firefox first thing. Like always, I uninstall Firefox. That's just something I do, no matter what the platform is. Whatever OS, whatever web browser the OS ships with, I immediately try and uninstall. It's just something I do. It's like a knee-jerk reaction at this point. I uninstall that and I install Epiphany or Chrome or something like that.
So
the Ubuntu Software Center.
I think it's really good. I think it's actually done pretty well. I'm still waiting for the ability to actually purchase.
Dude,
but
that would be awesome. So it's still on the docket for 10.10. Is the ability to purchase commercial software, which means 6 months from today.
Which means I'm going to be spending some money soon.
It means I better be making money soon is what it means. But this is awesome. The thing is, so we've had Synaptic for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Synaptic is a good graphical interface on top of a package management system.
I'll say it's a graphical interface on top of a package management system.
It allows a fair bit of flexibility and power. It does.
I never use it.
I
think it's just ugly and it's hard to use.
Ugly as sin.
I prefer Aptitude
it's poorly
or
organized and it's difficult for a new user to get into.
Totally.
Now, then Ubuntu had the Add Remove Programs app,
which was kind of like
which was chintzy and not so great and barely got the job done.
Yeah.
And it caused me problems and it was not awesome.
Yeah.
So obviously they had a problem to fix.
Yep.
How do you install software and how do you make it easy for everybody, new and experienced alike? So that's the old Add Remove application screenshot there. Yeah. They've got a screenshot up on their Ubuntu website, and I've got one on my blog as well.
I like it. I think it's a lot cleaner, way more categorized,
and very, very well made. So if you go through there and you find an application, you're like, I want to install it. There's an install button sitting right next to it. You don't have to find your supporting packages and everything out. You click install, and off to the left-hand side, the little thing comes up and it says installing 1. Spinning, and it's installing in the background for you. And you can keep going and keep adding additional apps, and it keeps adding it to the queue,
which is awesome.
Keeps on rocking.
How I prefer to consume.
And then you're like, you know what? It seems to be taking a long time. So you click on the installing little tab on the left there. Boom! It'll give you a nice little list with a little progress bar, and you can cancel them as you want. And you're like, I changed my mind. I found a better browser. Boom! Cancel them. It's great. It's well laid out. It's clean looking. It's what I've been freaking waiting for in a decent package management and software store type app.
JB Viewer or JB Esser in the chat room mentions out that if you're not careful, because I actually had this happen to me, on an Ubuntu GNOME system, with one click, you can install an S ton of Qt stuff.
Oh yeah.
Accidentally just load a bunch of Qt.
But it'll work.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If you don't want the Qt stuff, you better know that. But for an average user, you don't want to have to know I need to install a bunch of Qt stuff. You want it to just do it.
Before we get into
so that's
other
great.
stuff,
that's great. But again, the big thing is I'm waiting for the ability to buy software for me. Now, a lot of people have actually mentioned this would be a cool idea, is the ability to not only buy software, but directly donate to projects that accept it within the Ubuntu Software Center.
That would be great.
So if you want to donate to Firefox or Inkscape or whatever application you're using, have a little donate button and a buy button next to the apps you can buy. A great way to help fund development on Linux.
Cool.
I think that would be awesome.
It'd be neat to be able to have a Jupyter Broadcasting app and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, dude, you bet your bottom we will.
I want to give mad props to Network Manager. Now, I know this will be in probably Fedora 13, and it's going to be in OpenSUSE 11 too, but Network Manager is now the easiest, most conclusive way to manage all of your different type of networking connections on an operating system.
It is, isn't it?
On any operating.
It's awesome.
So my test rig for this load of Ubuntu 10.04 was an HP laptop with an EVDO modem built in, Wi-Fi adapter, all that kind of stuff, right? It saw the EVDO modem. I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, it's probably there. I'm not going to mess with it much. And then one day I thought, because I don't have service on, so I thought one day I'll just click it and see what happens. I clicked it. It brings up a wizard immediately says, tell us a little bit about where you are and who your wireless provider is. I say United States. I say Verizon Wireless. Next thing I know, it's going through the process of attempting the activation. And if I had service,
it would have connected.
It was communicating perfectly with the card. It made connection to Verizon Wireless, and then said, your account's not active. Amazing by a single click. Then you plug in, if you're on wireless, and this is one of my tests I always do for end users because I have clients who have like Windows XP notebooks, and they're on wireless, they're walking around, they're all so cool. They go back to their desk, they plug in, but they're still on wireless. They might have that Ethernet connection connected, but Windows doesn't have the smarts to say, oh, Ethernet faster, I use that. But Network Manager does. It says, oh, your Ethernet connection is now available. I will make this your primary connection because it's going to be faster, more reliable. Beautiful, transparent, seamless.
Awesome.
And the way it's integrated right into the menu, it is truly, and then also the ability right from the menu to create VPNs. It is truly the finest way to manage any network connection on any operating system. And that's a really big deal.
That's a huge deal.
We went from the worst wireless support.
Oh, yeah.
The absolute worst wireless support.
3 years ago, it was a nightmare.
And now we're here. And that is a testament to open source development, I think, right there.
It seriously is. Yeah, that is just rockingly awesome.
It's good. Also, just general overall performance from everything from battery life to speed was good. Battery life, so this laptop, I've tried XP on Windows 7 and Ubuntu 10.04. Ubuntu and Windows 7 had almost identical battery life. Windows XP, I got about another 25, 30 minutes out of on average. It was interesting. I was surprised to see XP did the best battery usage-wise, but Ubuntu 10.04 was on par with Windows 7.
Yeah, I've got on my netbooks, I kind of keep track of how they've done under various OSs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's seeming about on par with Windows 7 for my HP 1000. So I'm fine with that. You know, my little netbooks were never like a 10-hour battery life systems. They were always 2.5-hour systems, no matter what OS I've thrown on them.
Really
pretty much,
in my opinion, they're even with laptops. It's almost I just look at it as I just need enough power to get me between places where I have chargers. Yeah,
exactly. That's kind of how I look at it.
Should we talk a little bit about the media experience with 10.04? Because
I think we have to.
One of the things that's new is the inclusion of PDV, or however you say it, the video editor that I've never used.
Yeah,
PDV. I've never used it.
It's decent.
I've opened it up, looked at it, and gone, okay, iMovie.
Yeah, it's a very simple, easy to use video editor. That's it. Yeah. It's very straightforward. It's got a little timeline. You import your video. You export your video. You cut it up, and it works.
It's probably ideal for like somebody like my wife who's got maybe some videos of our baby Dylan. Yep. Wants to clip something together and then put it up on Facebook or YouTube, and she's good to go.
Yep. Now here's another little interesting tidbit. So that means that we finally have a working video editor. It's not full featured in terms of like tons of awesome effects. It's not pro level. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done on it. Honestly, I would guess now that it's shipping in Ubuntu, we'll probably see a ton of work over the next 6 months, and the next version will be rocking. This version's enough for most people. Probably for you and me, no, it's not going to be enough for you and me. But for most people, yeah. Here's the weird thing. It's now, if you look at it and compare it between Windows and Mac, it's now the only OS of the three that ships with a video editor.
Yeah, because they took Movie Maker out of Windows.
Yeah, Windows Movie Maker does not come with Windows anymore.
And iMovie ships with a new Mac, but not with the OS DVD.
Right, and that means
Macs.
And that means if you upgrade to a new Mac or upgrade to a new version of OS,
you have to buy the movie
you have to buy a new version of iLife to get iMovie. So it's now the only of those OSs that has that.
You didn't mention this in your blog post, but also you could make the same comparison with FSpot. There's no photo manager that comes with Windows or OS X. iLife has
there isn't, is there?
No. You can download Windows Live Photo Gallery.
What is wrong with those guys? They ship a freaking web browser. I'm like, okay, it doesn't make any sense. I mean,
but now you have a Linux desktop shipping with
an Office suite, with photo management, with video editing, with the best social networking available for any platform on the planet. I have a hard time looking at this and saying, okay, so why on God's green earth would anyone, under almost any circumstance, unless your job requires it,
why would you bother running?
Why would you even consider anything else now? And that's a huge leap. Remember when Novell came out with SUSE Linux Enterprise Desktop, And it was touted at the time, like the first version 10 was the first year we started the Linux Action Show. So almost 3.5+ years ago. And it was touted as, well, this is Linux. It's buttoned down. It's ready for the desktops of business class devices, and of course consumers as well too. It wasn't ready. Like we talked about it. We're like, here's the good points, here's the bad points, but it's not ready. We even 1 year ago, we're like, you know what? This is a good release here. OpenSUSE did nice there. Ubuntu's looking good here, but this thing's uglier. It's too hard to install stuff, or there's package management issues, or wireless sucks.
Kind of crazy how much that's changed.
And we didn't have that compelling thing where we could point at it and say clearly as an end user, here's the features that you get with Linux that you don't get anywhere else.
And now
now you do.
It's coming down to the point too where it's like, well, so you want a new computer? What do you do with your computer? Oh, you import your digital photos, you post to Facebook, you watch videos on YouTube, you browse the web a little bit. Basic email and things like that. There's just, why would you go with
Skype with webcamming or something like that? Everything you want is now available right here.
Before we get into the negative stuff, I wanted to give a shout out. It was just something really cool. I have a lot of machines on my home network, and they all have VNC servers, so that way I can manage them individually. There's a GNOME VNC applet. It's just really nice to have because it's really hard to get on the other platforms.
Yeah.
You put the applet in your menu bar. Once you click on it, it just automatically, through ZeroConf, discovers all of the other VNC servers on your network. So you can just drop that little applet down, click it, and then you immediately connect to the machine you want to manage. Super nice.
Super handy.
Is there anything else you want to cover before I get into a couple of negative things I came across?
Oh, geez. No. You know what? That's all I want to cover for right now.
All right. Well, okay.
Wait. And the version of OpenOffice has Oracle stamped right on it.
There's a couple of things that still concern me that maybe Linux might not be totally consumer ready. Like you still need to have your geeky relative in a couple of situations. It was too easy to break, and that was and I don't mean just like break a little bit. I mean like devastate the system to the point where I have to reinstall.
Now I know a lot of people had problems with like video drivers and whatnot on upgrades, and it just like totally hosed their systems. You gotta do fresh installs, guys. Back up that home folder. Yes. Make sure you're like me. My home folders are always on a separate partition. Always,
and
without
just
fail.
Reconnect to your /home when you reload. It works surprisingly well most of the time.
I mean, I know your average grandma and whatnot is not probably going to think to do that, but for you nerds who are constantly reloading like us,
a favor.
Yes, get those on a separate partition.
Maybe a separate drive.
Just do it. Yeah, that's what I do.
I like to do separate drives because then when I put my virtual machines in my home folder,
you just connect.
I get great performance on a separate drive.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So I tried to do two things. One, just as an experiment, which then I found out later online that it wasn't going to work. If you go to NVIDIA's website right now and you install the NVIDIA driver from NVIDIA's website for Linux, you will destroy your X11. You will not be able to use a graphical environment again.
Oh yeah, that's not cool.
You can go to the command line, rip it out, then go rip back in it's a mess.
Yeah.
The other thing I tried to do, this was my fault, but it shouldn't have broken. It should not have broken so badly. My laptop has a fingerprint reader. So I thought, hey, you know what? It'd be really cool to log in with my fingerprint because you can configure Linux so all of the things that require prompt, even like when you're installing a package and it needs the admin password, you can have that so you just swipe your finger and it accepts it and you can install software. Badass, right? That'd be cool.
Awesome.
You have to add two things to PAM, to one of the many PAM configuration files.
Really?
PAM is the pluggable authentication module system for Linux.
Yep.
Where you can get you could add a Windows Active Directory as your authentication source. You could add an LDAP server or a fingerprint reader. So gedit was set to autosave every 1 minute. Right?
Uh-oh.
So I open up the PAMconf file in gedit, and I'm reviewing what I need to add. I'm reading instructions, and I add 2 lines to PAMconf.
Yeah.
Just add lines to PAMconf for additional authentication sources.
With you.
Gedit auto-saved in a minute. I hit close. I had made some more changes. It said, do you want to save? I said no, thinking I didn't save my changes. Because after some troubleshooting, I found out that while Ubuntu could detect my fingerprint reader, it could not communicate with it properly.
Oh, no.
So put the system to sleep, woke it back, closing the lid on my laptop and waking back up works fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Sleep and hibernate works perfectly. Yeah, on both of the netbooks I've got without a hitch.
Woke it back up, could not enter my password. rebooted the system, cannot enter my password. The only thing I can use now to authenticate to my system is a fingerprint reader, is the fingerprint scan, but it cannot communicate with the fingerprint reader hardware, so therefore I am no longer able to log into my system. So an NVIDIA driver nuked it, and just trying to turn on the fingerprint reader nuked it.
Oh,
to a
man.
point where if I was a home user, I'd be completely...
You'd be completely out of luck. You wouldn't know what to do.
It needs to be hardier. Like, there needs to be, and I know they're going to work on it maybe with Btrfs, there needs to be a OS, I just really messed crap up. I need to roll back. I got to roll back.
Yeah, Btrfs would be great for that.
Because when you're relying on these hundreds of configuration files and maybe, 10 dozen different scripts, and all it takes is one config file line to be changed for a cascade effect of breakage, you've got to be able to revert from that quickly.
I think there's a couple ways to look at that.
Now that most users aren't going to be in there,
they're not going to be using. They're not going to be making those changes.
How
but
long
that means
till
that they
a
don't
software update overwrites something, or how long till something automated screws up a file?
Well, what we've got to hope is that since this is a long-term support release, that their testing process is hopefully going to be a little more robust than it was, say, a year or two ago. At this point.
here's my the way I look at it is all of these config files originally came from a package.
Yeah.
Why not have an option in the software center to go revert to original software configuration
from those packages?
And as long as your package library is in good shape, shouldn't that be theoretically possible? Just to, at a package level, roll back?
Why not?
I think so. But otherwise, this went from, boy, I love desktop Linux to, at this point, there's really no reason not to run, especially when you've got like VirtualBox with rocking features, so when you do need Windows.
You can.
And if I can get Evolution to work, I'm really pretty.
There's just no reason. There's no reason to not use it.
Right.
That's a big thing. So there's obviously still problems. There obviously are. You know, and it's hard to get away from them. You know, I don't know that it's possible to get away from them.
You need, you're always going to get stuck if there's a piece of software you've got to have that won't work under emulation or work properly. But as more and more stuff goes cloud-based computing, as you've got your email online, you've got word processors, you've got all this stuff, the missing software is just really not going to matter.
It's really becoming pretty trivial. I mean, there are a few Windows apps I need every now and then. There just are.
Yeah, my work, I have to use Internet Explorer for a lot of stuff.
And let's be honest. If you're listening to this show, 50-50 chance you're a super geek. That's just the way it is. And if you're a super geek, you're probably going to need some weird, random, crazy app on Windows or Mac or something. You're just probably gonna. That's just the way it is. It's not because Windows or Mac are great. It's just because you use a lot of weird, freaking applications because you're a nerd, and that's what we nerds do. So there's no getting away from that. But as your main system, as the main desktop, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
I am so excited to try the other distros because my Ubuntu is coming out strong. The bar is set.
Hugely high.
Yeah.
I mean, like the next release of OpenSUSE looks great. It really does. They've done some amazing work, put together some amazing technology. They've done an awesome job.
And I think maybe they have the right approach because it's almost like, because they're all drawing from the same upstream projects, there's value add you have to do on top. Ubuntu's coming at it with Ubuntu 1. You've got OpenSUSE with their online build service.
Yeah, the OpenSUSE build service is great.
We'll
talk about that in depth.
You've got Fedora offering whatever they offer.
Newest versions of packages.
Yes. We'll give it. I'm definitely giving Fedora a fair shake because I've got a long.
I gotta give it a fair shake.
Fedora.
Yeah, I used Fedora for a long time. The last couple of releases haven't been happy with, but you know what? There was a couple of releases of Ubuntu I wasn't happy with either.
Yeah,
so
that's for sure.
There's no reason it can't turn around. This could be the year of, oh crap, which distro do I want to run? There's so much good
choices,
ones.
Yeah,
there's too many good ones.
Oh, I have to run them all.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm thrilled. I mean, if I was going to rate this, I would give this release a solid A with little stars next to it, and then at the bottom in the notes on the report card, I'd be like, plays very well with others.
Yeah,
is very, very nice.
Yeah.
I appreciate that this child has good hygiene and doesn't smell bad.
I would give myself an A with a note that it needs to help protect me from when I'm stupid. It just does,
it does.
One of the things I think Windows, they started in Vista and really nailed home in Windows 7
Here's the thing. It's not that you were being stupid. It's you were being almost too smart.
I was experimenting.
You were knowing enough to get yourself into trouble.
I was tinkering.
That's what you were doing.
And then I got busted by the autosave.
That's who we are, though. I mean, we're the people likely to do that. Now, if we give this to, let's say we give this to your aunt and whatnot. Is your aunt really gonna go tinker with the fingerprint reader?
No, but she might install an update. I'm still a little nervous about updates.
Now, but hopefully though, I mean we've got to assume it's just like on the Windows side. Like this last week there was that update from McAfee or whatever where they essentially toasted like half of all the Windows machines on the planet.
I was in the middle
There's
of that.
nothing we can do at this point to stay away from that other than not install any updates.
And like you said, the long-term support hopefully is treated a little differently.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you look at like the last couple of long-term supports, by the second or third month, they've worked out some bug fixes, and those releases end up being just an amazingly long-lasting, solid desktop Linux.
They do.
I'm really happy with this release.
This is huge, and because it's the long-term support, this is the one that everyone's going to really compare against. I mean, because the last release was good. I liked it. I liked Ubuntu 9.10.
Performance has been fantastic.
Yeah,
I've just the laptop I had it on is not it's not a slow machine. It's a dual core machine.
Dude, it rocks on my netbooks.
It's super fast.
Rocks.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't stop it. It's like, hold on, Brian, you're slowing me down.
Yeah.
It's rocking out.
You're headbanging too hard, Linux.
I'm thrilled. I mean, I'm happy with it. I highly recommend trying it out. And honestly, I really recommend if you're a Fedora or OpenSUSE, etc. dev, go check it out. Even just to see what really Ubuntu is doing, other than and not just check out the website and look it up and be like, oh man, this Debian sucks. Just try it for a while.
And I'll say,
load it up, run it for a week on your secondary machine, and try running your email and your social networking through it.
Yeah, just
see what it is that they're doing.
See what we're talking about.
And yeah, it's worth checking out.
And I fully acknowledge the stuff from Network Manager. You know, a lot of that came from the Fedora camp. So I know that Ubuntu is standing on the shoulders of giants to get this release.
Oh, yeah.
I'm totally aware of that. But when you have everybody pulling from different upstream, or you have a distribution like Ubuntu who primarily pulls from upstream to build what they've got, and then they package around it, but they do it so well, and it's in the small ways that are important. And if everybody kind of has the same common software platform, it's those extra little polishes that they can do that really make it work well.
That makes the distro stand out.
Yeah.
No, this is great. I don't have anything more really to say on the matter. I mean, the rest of the distros, what you would expect. It's a new version of Firefox, a new version of whatever, a new version of the
head over to your blog because you did a great write-up on it. Go over to lunduke.com. There's an Ubuntu 10.04 review over there.
Yeah, and hopefully my server's holding up. It's getting dig crashed right now.
Yeah, those Ubuntu reviews are popular.
Yeah, people over on the dig, they're like, "Ooh, Ubuntu review! Click, 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 click." They go crazy.
All right, Brian, that's the Linux Action Show's review of Ubuntu 10.04.
And that brings us to the end of this week's broadcast.
Absolutely,
I want to thank everyone for coming out to join us. It's a very Ubuntu-heavy episode, so for those of you who do not run Ubuntu and greatly dislike it, and it makes you angry on the inside, sorry.
Yeah, we got more, but we got stuff. We got
more coming over the next few weeks, so no worries, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. And we want to say thanks to everybody who supports us by visiting store.jupiterbroadcasting.com, where you'll find things like our microphones, recommended webcams, also the very, very popular codec ZI-8, which is a great little handheld 1080p camera.
Some people like that. Oh, it's very fancy.
It's very fancy. So thank you for visiting store.jupiterbroadcasting.com to support production of the Linux Action Show.
Very much so.
All right, well, if you'd like to leave us feedback, head over to jupitercolony.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the new Ubuntu release, and that'd be a great place to do it. And if you'd like to watch us live, go to facebook.com/jupiterbroadcasting. That's where we announce upcoming live events.
We sure as heck do.
All right, buddy. Well, I think that wraps up this episode of the Linux Action Show.
I think it does. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week.
Next week.
This week on the Linux Action Show, it's our action review of Ubuntu 10.04. Is this the release the world has been waiting for? We discuss. Then we cover the approaching war against OGG Theora and what it means for Linux users. Then we break it farge.
I don't know. I looked at the line below it. It just said, it was in all caps on my screen then, and right below it is in all caps, break it down. So like my mind followed the caps trail. Oh man. I got so many, man, I used to like you guys, but you guys are sensationalists, and Brian, you love yourself a lot. And so I watch it still, but I don't like it as much. And then other people like chime in, are like, dude, that's what I like. I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm awesome. Nephews.